Well, we're about ready to start for part 2 now of building my computer desktop. So let's get at her instead of, farting around here. We'll get her done. So what I'm thinking is, I have this pine cottage grade paneling. It strips. It's tongue and groove. I need to cut the groove and the tongue of it. I need pieces 1.5 inches wide. And because this is reused pine, as you know, when you leave it out to the weather, or the air at least, it'll change colors, and you can see the difference in colors here. So if I were to make a piece of edging out of that, I don't know how good that would look with the multiple colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch strip out of this just to check to make sure that the width is correct. And then we're going to maybe, I don't know, try some different kinds of finishes on that to see what we can do to come up with trying to block this color change here. So that ought to be it for the groove. So now I want this banding that I'm going to use to go around the tabletop to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to set my fence at just a little bit, maybe 1 9/16. Okay, so that should go on there. And that's going to be a good thickness, a good width. I mean, it's just a little bit too, it's a little bit proud of that, but it'll be all right. So that's a good width. So now I have to come up with an idea how I can finish that, because I don't know that I want to have those multiple colors showing. Okay, one technique that I used in the past for pine, especially for pine, to try to finish it was to burn it. The idea, you burn it to highlight the grain, and then you put some varathane on it, right? So. Okay, so that highlights the grain nice. You can still see a little bit of the color change there. So I have some fast drying polyurethane here. So I'm going to just put a little finish on that if I can. So we'll let that cook here and see how that works out. Alright, there's the results of that little experiment I made by burning that and spraying some satin varathane on it. And you know what? I don't like it. So we're going to try something else. I have some wood stain here. So I'm going to put a little wood stain on that, and then when that dries, then I can varathane it. So this is a Minwax wood finish penetrating stain, and the way I'm going to stain it is just with this rag. I'm going to just do this. Right away I can see where that dark side, that line is still there. Let's try a little more stain on it, see what happens. The thing about the oil stain is, the more you put on, the darker it'll get. Okay, we're just going to let that dry up and see what happens. Okay, these are my test pieces, for the edging for the desktop. I started off with the burnt one. I don't know, that's nice I guess, but I don't like it. I looked at the stain here, and to me, I don't like the stain either. To me, that just looks dirty. So that one didn't float my boat either. And then just the plain wood, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I could go with that, I suppose. But I'm looking for something a little bit, I don't know, different than that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm still going to put wood edging on it, because I looked at other solutions, like I was looking online to see about getting some mahogany or Meranti or Luan is called now lots of times, to put some edging on that way, or even some vinyl T molding that you can get, put that on. But I don't know, it was going to be expensive. That was the big thing. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of these strips out of the pine, and then I think I'm going to end up painting it. Yeah. Paint. You can always rely on paint, right? If you don't like it, you can change the color. So I want those two pieces and these two pieces. So on the belt sander now, I'm just going to try to take that finish off. Okay, here's my trim pieces that I'm going to put around the desktop. I ran them on the belt sander and smoothed them up. In fact, I did both sides, and both sides turned out really, really well. So where there was some staining here, from being out in the elements, like this part of the board here was covered with something, so the outside part of that got darker. I'm thinking I could put it on this way and have no staining in it at all. However, I'm going to paint them. So when I paint them, I don't think the staining is going to matter much. So because of that, like I say, I sanded both sides, so it doesn't matter what face I put up. So anyway, what I'm going to paint them with is I have some Behr paint here. It's an interior satin finish, and it's a stain blocking primer and paint all in one. So I just have an old 2-inch brush. I'm going to put some rubber gloves on. I guess I'm only going to go with one brush, one glove. I'll be like Michael Jackson. Okay, I'm going to paint the edges of these, and I'm going to paint the fronts and the backs. Okay, there's my pieces. I'm going to just stand them up there and let them dry. I spent some time and I sanded the edges of my desktop here to make them as flat and smooth as I could get them. I've got my 45 on there. I'm going to put that on this end, and then I'm going to mark it up here. All right, I'm going to go cut that, and then we'll be back and do a final fit on this. Okay, so here's my mark. I have to cut my miter the other way. So I'll swing my saw around to 45 on this side. Okay, we're going to just dry fit this. So that's lined up pretty good on that edge. And see, that's good. I'm off there maybe a 1/16 of an inch, maybe not even that much. So I'm going to touch that up on my sander, not on the chop saw. All right, we doctored this guy up a little bit. Let's see how she makes out here now. All right, that's good and tighten that in. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad right there, eh? All right, I'm going to glue this guy on here. Tell you what my big concern is. There's still quite a while in this countertop, and I'm not sure if when I go to put it on my table if it's going to sit down flat or not. So that's got to go right in there. So I need to do a little bit of cutting right here. Touch it up on the sander over here. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Okay, do the same with this fella. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Okay, I'm gonna get some glue and some brads and put this one on, put the other one on. Then I have to come up with kind of a bizarre clamping technique because my clamps aren't long enough to go the full length. So because my tabletop is cut this way, I'm going to turn it over now to clamp it, because the way I'm going to clamp it, hopefully it's going to try to pull it a little straighter. Take some stick handling to get this set up here, but hopefully once I do, everything will be good. All right. So it's been a couple of days since I clamped and glued this, or glued and clamped it. Take the clamps off and see how all this fared out. First of all, it still has a hoop in it. I think it's going to work. Alright, in my router here I have a flush cut bit set up, straight cutting flush cut bit. My plan is to run that as best I can along there. So it did a pretty good job. It cut into the countertop a little bit here, but oh well. So now I'm going to take this, turn it around, do the other edges, and hopefully we'll get the same sort of result. All right, I finished trimming the edge banding, and it worked out pretty good until the very last corner over here, and I cut too deep and took some of the arborite finish off. So that kind of looks ugly. But anyhow, because it's looking ugly, I'm not so scared now to try and put a little round over on it. So I put a little 1/8 or a 3/8 round over bit in here in my router. And the plan now is to just go around the perimeter and put a round over on it. So let's try that, see what kind of a mess I can make. So I sanded all the edge over. Oh, well, I thought I did a good job, but maybe I missed a spot or two. But anyhow, and then I put some masking tape on it. So now we're just going to touch up those edges. And we'll probably put another couple of coats of this on. So I finished painting the trim and I took the masking tape off. And if you can see it up here in the corner, I kind of messed that corner up, so I'm going to make that the back left-hand corner of the desktop. One little addition that I plan on putting on the table is I bought this power bar. It's got two 110 12 amp outlets here, so I'm going to plug my monitors in there, and then I've got some USB charging ports, just charging ports here. So I'd like to mount that on the tabletop. I don't need anything under here anymore, so I'm going to flip the table over and lay out where I was going to put this outlet. Okay, this is one of those times in a project where, you know, you run into these 2 or 3 times, but if you make a mistake now, the whole project is in the can. So I want to make sure I do this right. So I'm going to line up to put my power bar here in the center at the back. All right. So that's what I want to cut out right there. And just to confirm that, there's lots of wiggle room that way. Yep, lots of wiggle room that way. When I put that in, then let me see, that would be located something like that. So the trim on this piece would leave me about a 1/2 inch of desktop at the back, so that should work good. I'm going to go with that, so I'm going to get my jigsaw geared up and I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to make a plunge cut here. I'm going to start cutting. By golly, it even looks straight. I'm going to clean the top up a little bit, and then we're ready to take it into camp, put it on the table legs. All right, the next thing I want to do is locate the power bar. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to drill some pilot holes here. Okay, so there it is, set in place. I'll just push her back against the wall now. What do you think? To be truthful, I don't really like this edge board I put on here. Plus, I made a mess of trimming it, and I scratched up the nice right top. So now I've got a little white line all over here on the edge of it. It looks kind of not good. But anyway, it's a nice top. It's better than what I used to have because the other one had a nice, it was a rounded edge on it. So I lost a lot of desk space. But I've got, this is probably 30% bigger than the old table I had. So I have both my monitors set here, and the outlets at the back here now are great. I've got my monitors plugged in there, and those cords are tucked out of the way. This desk light that I have, it runs off a USB plug. So I have that plugged in the back there. And then for my camera gear and whatnot, I have my little charging station set up. One of them goes to an old style USB connector, whatever they were called, where you had to orient it the right way to plug it in, whatever that is. And then the third and last one goes to the universal USB, I forget what it's called, USB-C maybe, where the orientation of the plug doesn't matter. So I can set them up there, I can plug my cameras in to charge them up. Nice spot here for my mouse, it's easy to get to, and I've got good support here on my arm, whereas before where the table was rounded, I always had to be pushing the mouse way up here to get my elbow on the table. I like it, I think it's going to work out all right. I hope you liked it too, so thanks for watching, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll talk to you.